William Marshal, known as one of the greatest knights of the medieval era, was born around 1146 into a family of lesser nobles. His father, John Marshal, was a minor baron, who had complex loyalties during a tumultuous period of civil war in England, known as the Anarchy. Initially supporting King Stephen, he later switched allegiances, supporting instead Empress Matilda. When William was just a child, his father's shifting allegiances during the rebellion led to a dramatic episode in William's early life. In a critical moment, the reigning King Stephen threatened to hang young William if John did not surrender Newbury Castle. True to his principles, John refused to capitulate, stating, "I still have the hammer and the anvil with which to forge still more and better sons." King Stephen then made plans to have William thrown from a pierriere, a type of trebuchet, into the castle, but ultimately could not bring himself to harm William. William remained a crown hostage for many months, and was released following the peace resulting from the terms agreed at Winchester on the 6th of November 1153, by which the Civil War was ended. At the age of around 12, whilst his father's power was dwindling, William was sent to the Château de Tancarville in Normandy. There he was brought up in the household of William de Tancarville, a cousin of his mother. This training ground was crucial in shaping him into a formidable knight. At Tancarville's court, William learned the codes of chivalry, partially from French romance stories. He read biblical stories and was instructed in the practicalities of court life. He began to hone his skills in combat and diplomacy, preparing him for a life of service and battle, skills which he would put to good use. William's official knighthood came in 1166 during a campaign in Upper Normandy, though his initial experience in battle was marked with mixed reviews. He is said to have fought fiercely, though he did not translate his numerous combat victories into financial gain. The Earl of Essex, expecting the customary tribute from his knight after the battle, jokingly remarked, "Oh, but Marshal, what are you saying? You had 40 or 60 of them, yet you refuse me so small a thing." But his true calling would emerge soon, in tournaments, where he would become a celebrated champion. By 1167, sponsored by William de Tancarville, he started competing in tournaments across Europe, gaining renown for his prowess. In 1168, William served in the household of his mother's brother, Patrick, Earl of Salisbury. Later that year, Patrick was escorting Queen Eleanor on a journey near the boundary of her province of Aquitaine, and Marshal was part of the escort. They were ambushed by Guy de Lusignan, who was trying to capture Queen Eleanor. Although Eleanor escaped unharmed, Patrick was killed. William was wounded in the thigh and was taken prisoner and conveyed to a Lusignan castle to be held for ransom. Someone at the castle took pity on the young knight because it is told that he received a loaf of bread in which were concealed several lengths of clean linen bandages with which to dress his wounds. This act of kindness by an unknown person perhaps saved William's life, as infection of the wound could have killed him. After a period of time, he was ransomed by Queen Eleanor, who was apparently impressed by tales of his bravery. He would remain a member of Eleanor's household for the next 2 years, taking part in tournaments and increasing his reputation as a chivalrous knight. Appointed tutor-in-arms to Henry the young king in 1170, he supported the young prince through the revolt of 1173 to 1174. Despite facing accusations of an affair with young Henry's wife, William's loyalty and skill won him the favor of his contemporaries. William followed the young king, and from 1176 to 1182, both men gained prestige from winning tournaments. Tournaments were dangerous, often deadly, staged battles in which money and valuable prizes were to be won by capturing and ransoming opponents, their horses and armor. William served many kings during his career as a knight, but his service to Richard the Lionheart is among the most notable in his career. In the late 1180s, he fought valiantly for Richard during the many conflicts and battles to maintain the Angevin Empire. He not only participated in the defense of the realm, but also undertook many negotiations with various European monarchs. His military skill was indispensable during this era of instability and conflict. William Marshal's military exploits extended beyond England. He fought in several key battles across Europe and the Holy Land, including during the Third Crusade. His reputation for combat was further cemented by his legendary feats in tournaments and single combat. It is said that William bested over 500 knights in single combat, a feat that earned him a place in the annals of knightly legend. In August 1189, William married Isabel de Clare, the daughter of Richard de Clare, thus elevating his status and acquiring substantial estates. His marriage to Isabel marked the beginning of a new chapter of prosperity. As a key player in the court of Richard the Lionheart and later King John, William was instrumental in navigating the political landscape of England. William was also deeply involved in the turbulent politics surrounding Magna Carta. Though he and King John were on poor terms for a while, beginning with William's payment of homage to King Philip of France, to which John had not wholly consented, and the two became openly hostile when John moved against a series of Irish barons, including William. After these, and other conflicts had settled, William was returned to favor in 1212. He was summoned in 1213 to return to the English court. Despite their differences, William remained loyal throughout the hostilities between John and his barons, which culminated on the 15th of June 1215 at Runnymede, with the sealing of Magna Carta. William was one of the few English earls to remain loyal to the king through the First Barons' War. It was William whom King John trusted on his deathbed to make sure John's 9-year-old son Henry would get the throne. It was William who took responsibility for the king's funeral and burial at Worcester Cathedral. William Marshal's final years were marked by a return to the limelight as he continued to serve as regent for Henry III. On the 11th of November 1216 at Gloucester, upon the death of King John, William Marshal was named by the King's Council, the chief barons who had remained loyal to King John in the First Barons' War, to serve as protector of the 9-year-old King Henry III and regent of the kingdom. In spite of his advanced age of around 70, he prosecuted the war against Prince Louis and the rebel barons with remarkable energy. In the Battle of Lincoln, he charged and fought at the head of the young king's army, leading them to victory. He was preparing to besiege Louis in London when the war was terminated by the naval victory of Hubert de Burgh in the Straits of Dover. William was criticized for the generosity of the terms he accorded to Louis and the rebels in September 1217, but his expedient settlement was dictated by sound statesmanship and a desire to remove the French from England as quickly as possible. Self-restraint and compromise were the keynotes of Marshal's policy, hoping to secure peace and stability for his young liege. Both before and after the Peace of 1217, he reissued Magna Carta, in which he is a signatory as one of the witnessing barons. William Marshal, who had enjoyed robust health throughout his life, was plagued by illness and pain in early 1219. By March he realized that he was dying, so he summoned his eldest son, also William, and his household knights, and left the Tower of London for his estate at Caversham in Berkshire, near Reading, where he called a meeting of the barons, Henry III, the papal legate Pandulf Verrocchio, the royal justiciar, Hubert de Burgh, and Peter de Roche, Bishop of Winchester and the young king's guardian. William rejected the bishop's claim to the regency, and entrusted the regency to the care of the papal legate. He apparently did not trust the bishop or any of the other magnates that he had gathered to this meeting. Fulfilling the vow he had made while on crusade, he was invested into the Order of the Knights Templar on his deathbed. He died peacefully on the 14th of May, 1219 at Caversham, surrounded by his friends and family. He was buried in the Temple Church in London, where his tomb can still be seen. A statue of Marshal on horseback was unveiled in front of Pembroke Castle in May 2022. Today, William Marshal is remembered as the quintessential knight, brave, honorable, and skilled. His legacy endures through historical texts, monuments, and a recent statue at Pembroke Castle. William's life and deeds have made him a legendary figure in the history of medieval chivalry, illustrating the ideals of knighthood and the complexities of political and military life in the medieval period.